Happy Juneteenth, brothers and sisters. In case you didn't know, June 19th, 1865 was the date where African Americans in the state of Texas were declared to be free by Union General Granger. And you know, for many years I've celebrated Juneteenth, but this year is quite different. Let's talk about it.
Thinking about what we've been through. The world can be a lonely place. Baby, I'm so glad that I found you. Now I got someone to embrace. From the day you stole my heart, I never ever want to be apart. Don't you feel the times are coming? 'Cause I feel it so strong. I've been on hold on, baby. Don't you feel the times are coming? When it feels so right to dance in the moonlight, baby, with you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tracy Blake Salami. I make motherhood, lifestyle, and beauty videos here on YouTube. And today I'm coming with just a short video to talk about what's happening in America right now. It's hard out here, right? I've spoken about race on my YouTube channel before. I've talked about injustice. I've talked about race relations, and I've talked about some of the difficulties that come along with cross-cultural marriage when there are differences in upbringings and what that means for a lot of people who do not understand what is life in America like for people of color. And there's so many conversations going on across the globe. There's so many protests that are happening now. We hear the name George Floyd so much now. We're hearing names like Breonna Taylor and everyone else who has died at the hands of police officers in this country and white supremacists in general. And a lot of people are having really frank conversations that they've never had before. A lot of people are having these conversations in the workplace that they've never had before. And this is all happening during a pandemic. So there's layers to the stress of life right now for a lot of people. And I am doing a collaboration video. So this is part one of a collaboration with AmericanBeninTv. And my girl Candace over there really is going to share with you some things that her husband and her have discussed or talked about, and their level of understanding of what's going on in the world right now, and how she has spoken to him or entertained conversations with him about race and social justice in this country, and how he comes away with a level of understanding regarding race and social justice after living in this country for some time now. So I'm going to flip to Candace.
Hello, Nigerian Lifestyle. My name is Candace, and I'm a fellow YouTuber at AmericanBeninTv. Today, we are going to be discussing some things that my husband is learning about in America, being a Nigerian man. So discussing and bringing up this topic with my husband was bittersweet. However, his response and feedback was just shaking his head and laughing. It was really touching to him to have this topic in this conversation. But he shared some light on some things to me. So having respect, equal respect, having African descents to be treated equal, and having the fact that African Americans shouldn't be treated as a means to an end. Okay? So let me just elaborate a little bit more on that. The things that is happening in this world needs to stop. It needs to stop. We as citizens of this country in America need to speak out and speak up. We shouldn't wait till the last minute of a death of anybody or a person being wounded or anything to speak out. We need to speak out. We have rights to speak out. We need to say this, enough is enough. We are tired. This needs to stop. This can no longer go on in our country. This needs to stop. We shouldn't feel embarrassed or ashamed to go out in public. No one should be stereotyped. No one should be treated as a means to an end. It's not right. It's not right at all. I can't breathe. Anyone in their mental state of mind, I can't breathe. If I can't breathe, you would try to do CPR. You would try to send me up a certain degree so I can gasp for air, so I can get some kind of air flowing. You would try to go give me oxygen, something. You understand? Someone telling you I can't breathe. Anyway, cops going into people's homes, shooting people. People are exercising on the roads. People are walking their pets on the roads, and their innocent lives are being taken from them. It's not okay at all. Race in this country is not right. Race in the United States of America is not right, and it's not okay, and it needs to stop. No one, just because you're a fair skin complexion, just because you're dark skin complexion, should not be stereotyped. Should not be stereotyped. Love, respect, and dignity shall be shared amongst all race and all different kind of ethnicities in this country, no matter what. No matter what. When we go back to history, didn't Martin Luther King make it to where we all should be equal? We shouldn't all just go to one grocery store. We all shouldn't, one group of colored people go to this grocery store. Caucasian people go to this grocery store. Hispanics go to this grocery store. Just imagine how the world would be if we was all to be split up like that. Just imagine. Let's not go that route. Let's love each other. Let's help out one another. Let's have a voice to the legal system that this needs to stop. This is not okay in this world, in this country, for say. This is not okay. So my husband is learning. He's still learning, and he's still got a lot of growing of learning to do with race in this country. But what he has seen and what he has, listened up on the news and stuff, that all this stereotype amongst African American, amongst any ethnicity per se, needs to stop. No one should be treated as a means to an end. Everyone should have equal rights and equal opportunities in this country. So that's all I have for you guys. And I really appreciate you guys for listening in to me this evening. And I hope you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye.
Let me say their names. It's a lot of names, but they deserve their time and attention. Eric Garner, John Crawford III, Michael Brown, Ezell Ford, Dante Parker, Michelle Cusseau, Laquan McDonald, Tanisha Anderson, Akai Gurley, Tamir Rice, Rumain Brisbane, Jerame Reed, George Mann, Matthew Ajibade, Frank Smart, Tanisha McKenna, Tony Robinson, Anthony Hill, Maya Hall, Philip White, Eric Harris, Walter Scott, William Chapman II, Brendan Glenn, Victor Manuel LaRosso, Jonathan Sanders, Freddie Blue, Joseph Mann, Salvador Ellswood, Sandra Bland, Albert Joseph Davis, Darius Stewart, Billy Ray Davis, Samuel DuBose, Michael Saby, Brian Keith Day, Christian Taylor, Troy Robinson, Ashams Pharaoh Manley, Felix Kumi, Keith Harrison McLeod, Junior Prosper, Lamont Jones, Patterson Brown, Dominic Hutchinson, Anthony Ashford, Alonzo Smith, Tyree Crawford, India Kager, Levante Biggs, Michael Lee Marshall, Jamar Clark, Richard Perkins, Nathaniel Harris Pickett, Benny Lee Tignor, Miguel Espinal, Michael Noel, Kevin Matthews, Betty Jones, Quintonio Legrier, Keith Childress Jr., Janet Wilson, Randy Nelson, Antron Scott, Wendell Clestine, David Joseph, Kaylin Roquemore, Dejon Perkins, Christopher Davis, Marco Loud, Peter Gaines, Tori Robinson, Darius Robinson, Kevin Hicks, Mary Trusillo, I'm sorry for mispronouncing, DeMarcus Samir, Willie Tillman, Terrell Thomas, Seville Smith, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Terrence Crutcher, Paul O'Neill, Alteria Woods, Jordan Edwards, Aaron Bailey, Ronell Foster, Stefan Clark, Antoine Rowe, Pamela Turner, Dominique Clayton, Tatiana Jefferson, Christopher Whitfield, Christopher McCorvey, Eric Reason, Michael Lorenzo Dean, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. Say their names. Say their names. There's so many different reasons why these people are not with us. But the common denominator, police shootings in America. Eric Garner had just broken up a fight, according to witness testimony. Tanisha Anderson was having a bad mental health episode, and her brother called 911. Tamir Rice was a kid playing in the park. Natasha McKenna was having a schizophrenic episode when she was tased in Fairfax, Virginia. Betty Jones answered the door to let Chicago police officers in to help her upstairs neighbor who had called 911 to resolve a domestic dispute. Eric Reason was pulling into a parking spot at a local restaurant. Breonna Taylor was asleep in her bed. George Floyd was at the grocery store. Dominique Clayton was sleeping in her bed. Tanisha Anderson was having, again, another bad mental health episode. The stories go on and on. And for the last decade, we've watched people die. These are people whose deaths circulated on the internet. These are only the people that we can see. There are people whose lives have been taken by police that we will never know that was the real reason why. We will never know the real story. We will never know the real events that led up to their deaths. We will never know what their perspective of any incident was because they're no longer here. They were silenced. They weren't able to tell their story. And all we have is the police word against the bodies. This is life in America. You know, one of the great things I love about my relationship with my mother-in-law, who is, of course, as you know, Nigerian, is that a lot of stuff that's happening with race in America is a teachable moment for her. A lot of people think that, oh, African Americans are just this and that. They don't have any culture. They don't have any training. They're not educated. They're lowlifes. They're nothings. And I just want to set the record straight that we're living in a war zone. We were brought here involuntarily, which no one wants to say is the reason why anything bad is happening. No one wants to go back and talk about the original sin. We were brought here against our will, made to work as slaves. When given the opportunity to become free people, we have never been free. What may look like freedom on the outside looking in is not actual freedom. It's a facade. From education, property ownership, down to the food we eat, everything is orchestrated just so. There are reasons why there are liquor stores in low-income neighborhoods, not because we ask them to be there, because they prey on those who are weak. Black men are seen as threats. Black boys are seen as threats. Black boys are more likely to be in trouble in school or be seen as unruly or incapable of following directions and are quickly put on a pipeline to prison from school. Even those that are brilliant and have demonstrated so academically, rarely do you see them inside honors and APs and IB programs. It's real. It's real and it's heavy and we can't breathe. This is a much more complex conversation than a YouTube video can really put into context. People have written books. There are whole courses on this stuff. But we live with it every day. And that's why for me, it's so hard for me to process a lot of what people are saying and doing, because some of us feel like we've been doing it our whole life already. I remember being an undergrad and I was seen as someone who was always looking for a reason to start something on campus, when really I was stating the obvious. And I was woke before woke was woke. And I think it's interesting that people are not surprised that I married Nigerian, because I've always been in tune with the origins, the motherland. I just wanted you to hear their names. And I just want you to remember all the people whose names we will never know because they don't make it on TV. There is no recording. There's no real memory of them outside of their families. And then there's those who have disappeared without a trace, ever. As much as we are different, we're really the same. Nigerian people and African Americans have so much more in common than they have in differences. Yet we focus so much on the differences. And we work so hard to make sure the other knows that we're not the same. And that's not okay.